Hey, hi, I'm Jamie from Sci-Fi Vision. It's great to talk to you guys again. Really enjoyed the season. They sent us the whole thing this time, so got to see it all. But for people who haven't seen it, why don't you start by sort of teasing what's to come for each of your characters? We'll just go Christian, then Gina.
Well, it's really leverage redemption, right? Everybody's looking for redemption and stuff like this. I think this time, I think Elliot is obviously I punch a lot of people, which is what he does. But I think he sits there, it's very fun to watch, and everybody's going to go like, oh, he doesn't do anything. He does a lot. He's watching people make decisions and deciding whether to chime in or not. I know that sounds boring. It's not because I still beat the piss out of a lot of people. But at the same time, it's fun for me and it's fun for the character because I get to watch people making choices, and almost the same as Gina. I don't with Sophie, but I'll let you take it from your.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's in their groove this season. I don't know if you got that sense from it, but like Sophie's in her groove. She's not giving herself a hard time. She's enjoying being in the driving seat, but she's also like making time for herself and working on her like personal relationships. And I feel like everybody is in the zone. And actually, it feels like very refreshing to be able to do a season where there isn't like massive angst, and I really enjoyed that aspect of season three. Did you get that sense watching it?
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. And I was going to say, Christian, you talk about, waiting and letting them do it. Obviously, there other people do fighting. There's a lot with Beth, especially when they're doing their fighting and kicking people. Or do you feel like you're always giving them pointers and saying, this is how you should be doing this because you've done it so much? Or is it more just the stunt people? I don't know.
Depends if I'm on set or not. If I'm on set,
I
then
guess
I'm.
that's true.
All
I
right,
had a
that's just
little
what.
I had a little fight this year in the
Yeah.
pool episode, and I asked him, like I said to him, I don't it said something like she hit someone with a pool cue. And I went to him and said, I don't want to just hit someone with a pool cue. Can you show me like a ninja
Well,
move?
you don't hold a pool cue like that. You hold it without here, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
more
Well,
it hurts more.
I know, but
It's
also,
like an Alan Rickman line, why a spoon? Because it hurts more. It's like that's how and she took it like a champ. I mean, she literally like she did it. It was great.
I wouldn't say like a champ. We had to go over and over and over and over it
I was trying
because,
to give her benefit of the doubt. They
but
weren't there. It's TV. You can lie. I mean, that's what we
but
do for
but
a
it's
living.
he's very patient and it was a lot of fun.
That
Yeah.
was good.
Great. Gina, your character gets a bit of a sort of love interest, I guess, this season, or can you tease anything about that? I know you can't say too much, but maybe a little bit.
I think that, Sophie is like ready to move on, dip her toe in the dating pool, see what's out there. Bit worried about going online because, can she be her authentic self outside of this group? She doesn't even probably know who her authentic self is. And then she's thinking, she's like second guessing, is anybody else out there being authentic on these apps? Then, of course, she does sort of have a little flirtation with someone, which is, I think, really lovely to see. And it was really lovely episode to kind of shoot and to see her like put herself out there a little bit, but not in a vulnerable way, in a way that's in her kind of power. And then there's an episode where she goes on a date and she realizes that there's something fishy going on. So yeah, it was really rewarding. Both those storylines were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Christian, talk about I forget exactly what his name is, but the cabin character and creating him because that was
Oh
hilarious.
gosh. I was trying to think of a horror genre guy that I could play, and I just couldn't. I wrapped up about three people into it. I was very fortunate in my life. I got to do a movie with with how do I say this? With Freddy Krueger, Bishop from Aliens, and the T-1000. It was Robert Patrick anyway. And I sort of like did all that kind of stuff. And I couldn't really play Robert Englund because Robert Englund just made that character. So I wrapped them all into one. And I really leaned into Lance Hendrickson a lot. What would Lance Hendrickson do? A lot of Pumpkinhead. I don't know. I just thought it was so great of a script to have that happen, and then Beth's counterpart on that. And so I said, I can't do it. I literally said, I can't do it. How do I make this work? And I said, let me lean in to Beth being the main character of that and being the scariest character we've ever seen. So whatever I'm going to do, it won't matter as long as I try to make her character even more scary than me. and that's how I got out of it. It was actually by default. So yeah.
I was gonna say they're both creepy, but yeah, I guess hers was a little more creepy.
I think my character's a little bit creepy too in that episode as the
Yeah,
kind of
she tries to
wellness.
click
But
a little.
yeah, because she's Charles Manson. I mean, we all got to play. Yeah, exactly. I kind of played Lance Henderson and Pumpkinhead. You were Charles Manson, and Beth was just Beth.
That's true. What other than that one, what was your favorite sort of genre bending episode? There's quite a lot of sort of themed episodes this season.
I
Mm.
absolutely, well, I always, my favorite episodes are always Jonathan Frakes. I mean, I'm sorry, Dean, I love you to bits and I love Mark Ruskin, but I just laugh so hard when I'm working with Jonathan Frakes and I've got such a soft spot for him. And like that episode where we actually pull off a con in the future, I just thought was just so fun. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see how it turns out because the idea of like trying to convince someone that they're in the future is just so bold and it was like so much fun to do.
And it's really it's quite of a. She's actually right about that. We work with one of the best costume designers around, Nadine Haters, and I literally ordered everything I had off of Amazon. I just said, I want this, I want this. I created this whole thing that I had with toys and arms and all this stuff. And I said, spray paint it all like punk, like what do you call steampunk. And we did, and we got all that stuff. And I didn't know how it would look. And Jonathan Frakes goes, great, man. You don't even have to act. It's like, and so to get his approval, like she said, fantastic. But that was a lot of fun to do, was just being, because we had 2 seconds of it, and so it was like really fun. I don't know, how did it work? You saw it.
No, yeah, it was a great costume. It was
Did the
creepy.
hand thing work? Because I was like, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that was cool. Do you ever add things to the costumes like that, or tell them kind of what you want?
Who, me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, totally. I totally, and
I go
sometimes
shopping on the weekends.
we go shopping on the weekends, and sometimes I'll have a completely different idea. I'll read a script, and I'm very close to Nadine. She's a great friend, but I'll call her up and I'll say, okay, so I'm thinking this for this episode, and she'll say, oh my God, that's the absolute opposite of what I was thinking. And then we have to bring each other around. Sometimes she brings me over to her side. Sometimes I bring her over to my side. But
That's why she's
it's a
so
lot of
brilliant.
fun.
That's why she's so brilliant. And we worked with her for a long time.
That's great. The show's so collaborative. What was it like being directed by Beth? I know you guys have before, but I've never asked that before. What's it like being directed by a friend, I guess I should say.
Definitely like it's definitely something you have to adapt to because they actors are vulnerable in the end. You do feel vulnerable, like, and you do look to the director for guidance. And so but we do look to each other for guidance even as actors actually.
Mhm.
But it's definitely a different dynamic, but at the same time, I think we've always really encouraged one another in what we do. And we've been vulnerable. I worked on the show when I was pregnant. We've all been like working on the show when we were going through personal stuff. We've always backed each other. We've always looked out for each other. And I think this was just another example of like trying to like raise one each other up. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we always try to have each other's back.
Have either of you ever thought that maybe you should go behind the camera, or is that not something for you?
No, I think both of us, neither of us want to.
We love being actors.
We love
I
being
mean, it's
actors.
just one of those things. I don't know what it is. Listen, I would like to take a shot at writing, and
Yeah, I
maybe
would love to be in the writer's room. Like that for me would be if I lived in Los Angeles and John Rogers was like, come on, jump in the writer's room, I would be so
I mean,
excited.
but here's the thing, and let me put this out there. I've never been a director. I've directed probably 100 fights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, no, you got to put this here, you got to put this here. I've even talked to directors in different situations. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I'm like, look, and I've directed this kind of stuff. I don't know necessarily everything to know about camera angles and shots and overs and all that, but I've directed a lot of this stuff. She has too with being an actor. She just has. I've seen her direct when she's not even, telling the cameraman what to do. I've seen her direct.
Totally.
That's a true story. But I tell you, I mean, I don't know. It's just something about, we've actually talked about this before. I love being an actor. And I don't know if it's because I'm so secure in what I do, or if I'm insecure with what I do, and I want somebody to tell me, I really like being an actor. Directing, I tell you what, there's a lot of work.
Yeah, so we're all exec producers this year, which was really nice to be able to get, that recognition that we've, been a part of the creative process of the show.
It's good you love what you do, though. They always say, you never work a day in your life if you love it. So that's great. Well, thank you both of you. Great to talk to you. Hopefully I'll talk to you again next season. I really did love it. Great season. So I think actually this was my favorite of the redemption season. So
Really?
yeah, I really enjoyed it.